Right, fan reaction time then. Burnley 1, Nottingham Forest 1. And I thought it was a bit of a, not a strange game, but I felt like a game where both teams could come away from that and think, yeah, we probably could have won that match. Obviously, Burnley were the better side, in my opinion, for the majority of the game. But Forest were the better side for the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes. And they did more than us in them 20 minutes and we did in the other 70, I felt. Because they forced Dubravka into, like, what was it, 2-3 very good saves towards the end. I know we hit the bar with that Tuna. Was it Tuna who took the free kick? I think it was. And as I said in the 60-second review, we flashed a couple across goal that nobody was just making that run. I just feel like we just missed that cutting edge up front. And it's not a dig on anyone in particular. I feel like we started the second half brilliantly, didn't we, to be fair? Anthony had that chance and probably should have done a little bit better with it, but the keeper's made a save. But my issue with that is it's straight at the keeper, either side, and he's forcing the keeper into a more difficult save. I think at the very minimum he's got to do that. We had one flash across goal in the first half. We had one flash across goal in the second half. There was quite a barrage of crosses at one point as well, where I'm just shouting, somebody get their head on it, and no one was just making that run and that, I remember shouting back post once and no one ran to the back post. I just feel like we just missed that cutting edge. I don't think it's anyone in particular's fault. I just feel like we're just missing it. Just that lack of quality in the final third. And it's not necessarily that we're creating chances and missing them. Yes, I've mentioned a couple of chances there, but none of them are clear-cut chances that we should have easily scored. But we're not creating these clear-cut chances enough, are we, really? Especially not in today's game. But I feel like both teams can come away from that and say, we probably did enough to win that match because, like I said, Forest obviously get the goal early on. And they did start the brighter of the two. They were the better side for the first 10 minutes and probably were value for that lead. Not so early on because not much had happened. That were literally the first attack. But after like the 10-minute mark, you're like, yeah, Forest are deservedly in front of you. Obviously, thankfully, not long after that they weren't. But I do feel like for that first 10 minutes, like I said, they were the better team. And then we grew into it. And we had quite a large spell where we were attacking quite well and going forward really well. But again, just lacking that killer instinct, just not creating any clear-cut chances. We did look a little bit shaky at the back, I will admit that, which is unusual for us, isn't it? Even this season in the Premier League so far, obviously we were brilliant defensively against Liverpool. Not great against Man United, admittedly, and not great against Spurs, but against Sunderland as well, really, really good. I thought Steve were fantastic, though. Even though I don't think we played that well defensively, I thought Steve were fantastic, I thought Walker were fantastic, I thought Hartman were fantastic, and I thought Dubravka was fantastic as well. But I feel like in that first 10 minutes especially, we're just a little bit sloppy at the back, weren't we? And we weren't just sloppy at the back, actually. We were sometimes sloppy in midfield, sometimes quite sloppy up front. Just like I said, just that lack of quality, I think, in my eyes. It's not that we don't have it, because I think a lot of the players do have bags of quality. It's just not really shown today, unfortunately, because there were some moments at Old Trafford, for example, where we were just superb going forward. But today, it just didn't really click, I think. And like I said, it feels more like a lack of quality. But there is quality there. We just couldn't really show it as much today, unfortunately. Obviously, the goal, I've not seen it back yet, Burnley's goal. And as I say plenty of times in these 60 seconds, obviously, I go on with my little boy, he's only 7, so I'm in the Jimmy Mac. And I just felt it would, obviously it's at the other side of the pitch, but I just felt it was such a scruffy goal. Obviously, I do not care. I don't really know what's happened. It just kind of get bundled in. The Forest player's on the floor. I'm not sure if that's because he's fallen or he's slipped on his arse because of the Burnley summer. But yeah, obviously happy to get back into it then. And I feel like the two clubs sort of like, as Scott Parker said, jabbed their way through the match. Like both clubs were trying to jab and neither could land the knockout blow. That's what Parker said. And that probably summarised it perfectly, really. I feel like the rest of that first half, it was just the two clubs sort of like jabbing at each other. No one really got a foothold in the game at that point. Burnley probably just a better side, but Forest did have spells as well. Then the second half, we start the brighter of the two. We have that Anthony chance early on. We have quite a few, bits of pressure towards their goal early on. But again, unfortunately, just couldn't turn it into clear-cut chances and turn it into goals. Obviously, hit the bar in the first half as well. So yeah, encouraging signs if you ask me. I feel like, look, obviously I know I've criticised them slightly a little bit there by saying they were a little bit sloppy, and I do agree with that. I just feel like if we just had a little bit more quality on the pitch today, or just showed a little bit more quality, then we would have been able to win that match. One of my concerns, and I feel probably a little bit silly sort of talking about this after what is essentially a decent result against a decent side. Right, they haven't won yet this season, admittedly. Sorry, no, they have. Ange hasn't won as Forest manager yet this season, is what I meant. I just feel like sometimes we are just a little bit too cautious. And I know we had a lot of 0-0s last season. I know this wasn't a 0-0, but we all talked about how cautious Scott Parker could be and how cautious some of his subs are. And I thought that showed again a little bit today. I would have made, I don't know, different subs. I just feel like just release the handbrake a little bit. But then obviously the flip side is you release the handbrake and you could potentially lose that match. But in that 70-minute spell where I feel like we were the better side, I feel like if we just release the handbrake a little bit more and we just attacked them a little bit more and just went for them a little bit more rather than being a little bit too cautious, I feel like they were there for the taking. I really, really do. I feel like they were there for the taking, but obviously in the end it just wasn't to be. But I feel like as well some of the subs are sometimes just the wrong players, not necessarily the players coming on as such, but I feel like Anthony, like he was absolutely blowing out his arse, and he was at Man United as well. I just sometimes feel like I like Anthony. I think he's a great player, and I do feel like he's shown his quality since we've been in the Premier League, because there were a few raised eyebrows when, not by Burnley fans to be fair, but by other opposition clubs when the obligation was triggered for Jadon Anthony. But he's coming to the side. Well, it's not coming to the side, but it's coming to the Premier League, should I say, and done very, very well. But I just feel like because a lot of the output is through him, he always seems to be blowing out of his arse around the 60th, 70th minute, and I always feel like it's worth taking him off a little bit earlier. Just to avoid that. I thought Foster played well again today. I've seen him getting some stickers again just because he didn't score, but I thought he ran the line well, he battled well. There was a moment, to be fair, he actually lost this battle, but I thought there was a moment where, a good moment where Burnley pinged the ball over the top, Foster chased it down, they were battling with whoever their centre-back was, they were both tugging each other's shirts, both pushing and shoving. He looked quite strong there, centre-back. He did really well, ended up winning the challenge and then put it away. But that's the sort of things that he does, he's battling. Yes, we'd all like him to score more goals, but again, there's no clear-cut chances for him today. Couple of things, I thought Florentino looked fantastic. There were a couple of moments where he did give the ball away, but I guess that's to be expected. There was one moment where he tried to do a very silly back heel in our own half. And I remember thinking, I hope that's not a sign of things to come, but it actually wasn't. It was really, really good. You can see why they called him the Octopus. Dubravka, fantastic. Obviously, I won't give a man of the match. I'll do it on the full-time show tomorrow. Dubravka, fantastic. Kyle Walker, fantastic. Steve. That diving header that he did when they looked like they were just about to get through. Nobody does it like Steve. Absolutely superb. I've mentioned Walker. I thought Hartman was fantastic. I thought Cullen played well again. And yeah, just a good result in the end against a decent side who had their chances as well. There'll be Forest fans on the way home now thinking that they did enough to win the match and they probably should have won the match. But again, I feel like we can feel like that as well. So as Scott Parker said in his post-match interview, a draw is probably a fair result. And to be fair, against a decent side, you'll take it.